To make this happen, the teachers should play the role of the leaders. This is a very big challenge before the teacher community of today. In this situation, the big question arises how the teachers can become the flag bearers of academic leadership. What are the challenges before the teachers of today? To educate us on this issue, we have the magician of teaching, I would call him as a great orator, the person who can bring liveliness to a dead classroom, a great motivator who has influenced many, including me, to take up the teaching profession. Dr. D. Anand sir with us. We consider it as our privilege to have Dr. Anand on our platform. I welcome Anand sir on this platform. A very warm welcome to you, sir, on behalf
Thank
of.
you. Thank you.
And to give a formal introduction about Anand sir, Anand sir is a professor at Department of the Business Administration at University of Mysore, which is popularly known as Bahadur Institute of Management Sciences. He is also the Dean of the Faculty of Commerce and Management. He is a syndicate, the member, the University of Mysore. And Sir is also advisor of many public sector undertakings of Government of India. And the interested area of Sir is organization behavior and marketing management. And he's a very well-known face to many of the participants of today's episode. On behalf of all the participants and also on behalf of the team of the Changemakers Talk Show, I welcome once again Dr. Anand sir, and I request Anand sir to take over the platform and educate us regarding today's topic. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Krantiraj Vodayar, for inviting me and giving an opportunity to interact on a topic like the leadership challenges that the academicians are facing with a capsule, Academic Leadership, the New Challenges. In my opinion, it is the most exciting, wide, and a controversial topic to debate in the present day context. But still, it's quite interesting because as we are all experiencing, the nature, mother, and the teacher are deemed to be the source of everything in our life, whether we love or otherwise. The teachers are the undesignated leaders all over the world. And the leaders, invariably, irrespective of the domain to which they are concerned, like Abraham Lincoln, Mother Teresa, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Buddha, Basavana, and people like these, in their own facets, in their own fields of operation, due to their functions of inspiring, motivating, and guiding the world, happens to be the teachers of everybody. Thus, the line between the teachers and the leaders is very thin, regardless of the areas to which we are all concerned. Invariably, every one of us who are either designated as teachers or as the leaders have to face challenges. Every one of us have been facing challenges, and the challenges are called by different names. In industry, commerce, economics, and life, we have been at the fourth phase of changes in the world. That could be the reason In industry, we called it Industrial Revolution 4.0. Even in academics, the same analogy can be used as the education 4.0. When I looked at your poster E4, I thought it is a coincidence that we are at the education 4.0 that has made us to think differently. Historically recalling the stages through which we have passed in education field, from the erstwhile Gurukula system of education, then the organized system of colleges and the universities, and the present day digital or online education. At every point of time, teachers have been facing challenges and overcome those challenges in whatever methods and the means with which they can handle it at their own level. The present challenges in the field of academics, I'm not going to dwell upon immediately the present day crisis about which both the policymakers, parents, government, and the students are worried about after the unexpected happenings across the globe, which was not even predicted by Alvin Toffler as a great shock. We have never anticipated that a small virus is going to create so much of havoc and problem in every facet of life. And that can be addressed at a later point of time based on the time available. But as I believe, when we speak in terms of academic leadership and the present day challenges, in my opinion, academic leadership need not be confused as the role of an administrator in an academic institution, as the CEO of a company, vice chancellor of a university, or the policymakers at the government level. Because a leader can be anybody who is interested in solving the problems of others and able to create an environment sustainable for others to set their own objectives and facilitate them to achieve these objectives. Therefore, in my opinion, everybody who is interested in the field of academics, who would like to make the inevitable changes and who are interested in solving the problems that we are facing in the field of academics, can be considered as the leaders. And more particularly, all these responsibilities are invariably on the designated academicians. The moment you think of academicians, irrespective of what they do, normally what comes to our mind is a teacher. The teachers can be a total academic leader at any level of his involvement in guiding, unveiling the world to the individuals. In the process of unveiling the world before the students, whom he considered as his followers, are people who inclined to take him as a role model, inclined to take him as a guideline, a spirit for thinking, has to undergo tremendous pressure in the present day context as the unexpected things have happened because of the disruptive technology and because of a drastic change in the social thinking. Keeping that in mind, I will be talking to you, I will be concentrating on talking about my perception in the field of academics, which may be sometimes unacceptable and controversial to many people. But as a teacher, I am open for changes, open for accepting the suggestions from anybody on this line. So that at the very first instance, as I consider the field of academics and education in toto has undergone tremendous changes over a period of time. If I keep on listing one by one as it occurs to my mind, the first and the most important happening that we can notice in the field of academics is, at the first instance, about the content of our deliveries. The content of our delivery is viewed and commented by different sections of the society differently, because what we deliver in the classes and the learning outcomes of the students have a mismatch with the expectations of the society. The widening gap between the learning outcomes and the expectations of the rich society made us to revisit our content, as the society is thinking on a different line, because the society's expectation is to get a sort of competence, capability in the form of employability of their children. But the academicians still today think in terms of delivering something called knowledge. And knowledge is always a subjective expression. Unless knowledge makes anybody to become competent, capable of leading a meaningful life, that will not find value. That point of time, that particular issue makes everyone to be alert and look at the teachers as somebody who is teaching something that is of no use in life. Therefore, at the first instance, the challenge before the academicians at this point of time is to bridge the gap between what we deliver in the classrooms and what the society expects. That is not possible overnight unless we make some homework and prepare in tune with the happenings both in the socio-economic and technological spectrum. Followed by that, another important challenge that the academicians are facing today is both the parents and the students look at academics as an investment. We will be knowing people are ready to spend any amount on the education of their children. There is huge opportunity to convert academics as an industry or an investment option. But at the same time, surprising and the unfortunate thing is that by making huge investment, as they expect great returns on their money, even in the field of academics, parents expect immediate returns on every rupee that they are spending. Therefore, anticipating value for the investment or expecting value for the rupee that they are spending has become a fashion in every facets of life that applies to academics also. So that when students are coming to the classes, they are coming with a prepared mind that they are supposed to get something, they have the right to get something, because they are like the customers of any business. They're coming up with the feeling that we are paying so much of money, and for the money that I am spending, I have the right to receive something back. That something back is nothing but employability. That employability must also be qualified in terms of the lucrative positions that they are going to get in terms of the salaries, perks, incentives, and the attractive designations that they are going to get. So that today, that makes every academician to think in terms of justifying the scope of the course that he is teaching. Since several decades, people have been asking a question: where is the scope? Can any academician assure the scope for a subject simply based on the content he is preparing, or based on the number of vacant positions that fits into the graduates that he is making? That question needs to be answered. Another challenge that I think in the present day situation that our teachers are facing in the classroom is concerned with the motivation part of the students. Motivating students to first get adjusted to the college environment and to the chosen area or the discipline for which they are coming for the colleges and the universities is another challenge. In a diversified classroom environment where there used to be students from different backgrounds, different strata of the community, ranging different in terms of economics, social, and academic background are to be treated in par with everybody. That is another problem that academicians are facing. You cannot make one for all, and one for all is possible only when all are with the similar preparedness. That preparedness cannot be expected in a classroom where there will be high high learners, low learners are what you call fast learners, slow learners, and the no learners type of students. For all of them, we cannot make one single formula which can help them to understand everything that we are going to teach. These issues are to be addressed appropriately by the teachers. In addition to this, the most challenging thing before academicians today is the technology mediated teaching. Technology, as I already mentioned, Industrial Revolution 4.0 made us to think everywhere in terms of technology. If you don't speak in terms of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, or the robotic technologies, you will be nowhere. You will be nowhere. That applies to academics also. In this academic environment where teachers are made to use the technology, technology and its usage in academics is not a new thing. For the last 2 decades or so, we have been talking in terms of ICT enabled teaching. That ICT enabled teaching is yet to get its popularity in one part of the academic institutions in India. On the other hand, there are institutions which have already gone several steps ahead of others and have become high-tech. In this situation, we can find a clear division among the academic institutions and their delivery system based on their ability to make use of the technology. There are highly sophisticated colleges and universities on the one side, which can compete with any other institution across the globe. On the other side, there are institutions which are lagging behind and trying to even to manage with the minimum required infrastructure to deliver the basics to their students. Given this situation, technology, making preparation for the technology, using this technology for academic deliveries is one more challenge before the academicians. Further, the other challenge that I thought is appropriate to mention at this point of time is, in a changing world, the expectations of the materialistic society always revolves around earning capacity, employability, and then the materialistic returns. But what is missing in the present day busy world that our students need is a sort of value-based, ethically oriented teaching. That value-based, ethically oriented teaching is the need of the hour, because most of the time, the present day youngsters are subjected to a sort of stress, tension, and anxiety, which has made them to face several discomforts in their day-to-day life. For every good things and the bad things that happens in the society, it's quite natural that the teachers will get the blame. When the students achieve excellent results in whatever they are doing, normally they don't remember the teachers or the academics. Most of the time what they say, I got this success because of my hard work, God's grace, and parent support. And if the time permits, they will recall the teachers. But when somebody makes a mistake, when somebody goes wrong, the first person to get the blame is none other than the teachers. Therefore, for the teachers, there is a moral obligation, moral responsibility that has created a sort of tension in molding the youngsters, because youngsters are the invaluable asset and the investment for any country. Same is the case in India also. Therefore, in the present day situation, preparing an integrated personality that can rise to the occasion and withstand any type of pressures in the environment that is dynamically changing at every moment, is another biggest challenge in front of the teachers in particular, and the academic administrators or the academic leaders in general. There are a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes happening in the field of industry, economics, and even agriculture for that matter. To meet with the changing scenario there, we need to prepare our students with the appropriate abilities to match with the realities. That challenge can be addressed only when the teachers will develop a capacity to handle all this crisis. At the first instance, the challenge that we need to manage today is about developing an atmosphere for the students to pursue their basic objective, their basic purpose within the classroom in our given institutions. It is true that a teacher must be the guide, philosopher, and a friend to any student. More than that, his basic concern, his basic objective is to discharge what is assigned to him as a course content. If we keep on presenting only the course content in a changed world order, students have lost their interest. I can recall an article published by Mr. Pathak of JNU with the title "Empty Classrooms, the New Normal," where he had mentioned the reason for the empty classrooms in almost all the conventional universities and the colleges. The reason is very simple. We are living in an era where the knowledge is at the fingertips of people. And unfortunately, the present day society also believes that information is knowledge and money is property, and money is the wealth. In a society where people believe money is the wealth and information is the knowledge, the true knowledge which the earlier generations used to think as the inner spirit, the capacity to relate, the capacity to imagine, the capacity to understand, will take the second seat. Here, everybody speaks in terms of getting the information on the fingertips, and the most trusted guru of the day is none other than the Google. Teachers, unless give something special, something unique, something extraordinary that the Google cannot give, and the students cannot find as a ready-made content anywhere, there is no point even for the students to come to the class. As a result of that, empty classes are both discouraging, disappointing challenges in front of the teachers, and they need to rethink about the content. As I started saying, the first and the most important challenge is redevising the content to fit into the expectations of the present day students. Otherwise, simply the presentation of theories, models will not make the classroom to become complete. So that how to overcome the challenges of empty classrooms in the universities and the colleges is another challenge that the teachers are facing. So that first and the most important thing in a classroom, which is diverse in terms of age, economic status, and the aptitude to learn, a teacher has to develop supportive relationship with the students, supportive relationship between the students, with the teacher and the learning environment will go a long way in assisting the students. The first and the most important thing is to attract the students, make them to attend the classes, make them to participate in the class, and to take something that is really unique, that makes them to be different from what they are before attending the class. That's a challenge, because today, with the advent of lot of gadgets and the sources of information, every student come to the class with a feeling that he has already have abundant information about what the teacher is speaking. Such an attitude will not make either the student or the teacher to have a commitment, an involvement in delivering and understanding anything. A great saying is that human mind can work only when it is open. How to make our students to open to learning, how to make them our students to realize that there is something beyond what they are seeing as a content online or internet. That is a challenge that calls for teachers to work a lot. Unless they work hard, unless they learn fast. See, there is a saying, learn before you teach, feel before you hurt. So that many a time students think classroom is a prison and teachers are those who are hurting them, hurting their feelings. So that before you do that, you have to realize that whether I'm capable of reaching out my students, and is there any way that I can go closer to the students academically. That big challenge can be sorted out only when we inculcate a sort of supportive relationship among the students and with the students as teachers. And one more important thing that we need to think of inside the classroom is preparation and execution of instructional materials. The instructional material need not be always to think in terms of the syllabi or the academic content given. The present day students expect something beyond that, something that they have not thought of. Unless it is given, students will not participate. I can relate it to my earlier point that why students are not coming to the classes and why there are empty classes. It is because they think that they have everything on hand. That everything on hand need not be the same for everybody. There are students from different walks of life. All of them must be treated alike. That could be the reason there is a report today about One India education policy. One India education policy need not be taken as the common syllabus for everybody, but the common policy for everybody. Making people to learn as they deserve, based on their background, based on their environment. We must make them to choose the area that they think is relevant for their expectations. And as I was also mentioning, meeting the expectations of the society and acting as a cognitive role model. A cognitive role model to the students is a big challenge. No doubt, there is a popular saying, from the parents and the students, from the parents and the teachers, students learn a lot. There is also a saying, students normally don't do what you say, but they imitate what you do. At any age, starting from a nursery up to an university, teachers can be a role model to students. We remembered Buddha, we remembered APJ Abdul Kalam or Bill Gates because of the impression that they have made. In my opinion, leadership in simple words is nothing but an act of impressing and influencing on others. Teachers need to impress on others. Teachers need to influence the behaviors of his or her students. But in the present day, it's not that easy as said. The reason is simple. Students are exposed to a lot of media, communication, which many of the teachers of my age were not exposed to. As a result of that, their expectations are very high. A teacher, unless rises to that level and acquire a global awareness and try to reach out to the students in a way better than what they are expecting, he will be nowhere. You will be knowing the present problem that most of our teachers are facing in front of a system or a monitor. During the lockdown period, when many people have undertaken online classes, they were subjected to criticism by many parents and others, not the students. Many parents started making comments about the teachers and their quality just on the basis of their presentation in half an hour, 1 hour in front of a screen. Because most of our teachers are not prepared. Unprepared parents, unprepared teachers encountered each other during this lockdown period, wherein parents started making comments that who can understand this type of deliveries? A teacher don't know how to sit, how to stand, how to talk, things like that. So that this is not the reality. You can speak in terms of virtual reality based classes, but a teacher is not a gadget. A teacher is not a robot. A teacher is a human being. Most of the time, everybody, including a teacher in the classroom, learn by committing mistakes. The simple mistakes that he commits will make him to realize and emerge as a good leader, a good communicator once again. But there is no scope for such a thing when you go online. But by looking at the face of it, people will evaluate the teachers and they present a teacher's qualities very inferior, poor, or something like that. There will be truth in it to some extent, but it is not absolute. So that this type of challenges, which are unpredicted, are to be addressed by the teachers in the academic arena. And one more thing to the problem with the present day teaching is inculcating the social skills among the students. Social skills cannot be a very clearly defined content of any subject, let it be science, arts, commerce, music, or medicine. Social skills are to be the results of students' observation and imitation of his own circle, role models, peer group. But today, because of the changes in the society, wherein the students comes from normally the nuclear families where both husband and wife are working and parenting was an appropriate parenting is missing, and students are blessed with a lot of pocket money and gadgets at their disposal, are lacking the simple social skills to make a conversation, make an interaction with the other members of the community. Even for this, it is the teachers who get the blame. Where is the scope for the teachers today to teach their students to rise to the occasion and look at the life from in a composite mindset, and to rise above the feelings of defeat and victory, take both the defeat and victory equally. You may be knowing the present day students are very fast in everything, faster in getting disappointment also. They will become frustrated immediately. They will jump into conclusions immediately. That conclusion may not be based on facts. Here, when I say facts, even facts need to be verified. If I'm right, it is Albert Einstein who said, education is not an act of teaching facts, it's an act of training the mind. When you have to, when you train the mind, that mind will think in terms of right and the wrong, acceptable and otherwise. But that's not happening in present day teaching, because most of the time, because of the busy schedule and the pressurized content, teachers are confined to deliver what is compelled on them, then setting standards as the role models for the students. To do that, teachers have to go a long way. But teachers are also human beings. Teachers are also have to survive. You might have read it in several newspapers and the media. During this COVID, a number of part-time teachers who are deprived of their jobs and salary have committed suicides. Given this situation, expecting them to rise to an occasion and present themselves as a role model for the youngsters is a real challenge, because the youngsters always look for something fast, something quick and problem solving. Therefore, today, reaching out to students of all type, is a big challenge. However inclined you are to reach out to everybody, the present system has divided the academic institutions and the education system also into divisions. As I already mentioned, there are two divisions. One is the very high standard, other one is the mediocre. Balancing between these two and reaching out to all sections of the society. When I say all sections of the society, our classrooms gives a replica and represents the society from where we have come from. Even in a classroom, there may be marginalized and vulnerable students. Reaching out to this marginalized and the vulnerable student is a big challenge that the teachers are facing. Therefore, today, if you ask me to summarize the challenges and the confusion that the academic leaders are facing are, at the first instance, students versus consumers. Students versus consumer. Unless you look at the present day students who are sitting in front of you as your consumers, your acts are not justified. Consumers are always demanding, and consumers many a time think they are right as long as they are capable of paying the price. And most of the time, it's not true in academics. Students have to be treated as students. Students has to behave as students. So that creating an environment of that type is a big challenge that the teachers are facing. Another question is about knowledge versus employability. Knowledge is very vast, and knowledge never remains the same forever. Knowledge is power. Ask any group of students anywhere in a classroom across the globe, about 70 to 80% of the students think they are looking for something that makes them employable in the job market rather than knowing what it is. I think it is Benjamin Franklin once said, the job of a teacher is not to teach what to think, it is to teach how to think. But our students all immediately look for employability, opportunity, something that makes them to earn quickly. It's not a sin expecting like that, but that's a challenge for the teachers. So that knowledge versus employability is the second challenge and the question that the teaching community has to answer. The third one is long-term perspective versus the immediate gratifications. In every facet, it is not necessarily about the job or money. What people are looking for is something that can solve their problem quick, ready-made solutions, ready-made knowledge, information that makes them to participate in a reality show rather than facing the challenges of life. So that long-term perspective has taken the back seat, and always people look for immediate gratification, immediate solution for their problem, for which teachers have to struggle a lot. Otherwise, teachers will be qualified as ineffective, inefficient, useless teachers. And the fourth important thing is a situation or a question to be answered like grounded reality versus the global awareness, global overview. Grounded reality versus the global overview. Today, people look for a global perspective of everything. Forgetting the ground realities, they look at the statistics related to the world. They compare themselves with somebody in US, somebody in Canada, somebody in another planet. But the grounded reality will be something different. Why I'm telling this is, regardless of the type of the institution, type of the course, and the nature of the system to which we belong to, when it comes to comparing the results, we go by uniform standards. The uniform standards that we use to evaluate the academic institutions, academic leadership, the uniform standards that we are using is itself based on the principles of duality, dual standards. You cannot compare apples and the oranges. You cannot compare the results of the same. Say, for instance, even the evaluating agencies, the agencies will take a list of everything across the globe. Say, for instance, in India, there are 45,000 colleges, 11,000 specially designed institutions to cater to specialized courses, and about 1,100 universities having about 400 state-owned government sector universities, where the environment is different. Grounded reality is different. But when we make the evaluation, we keep everybody on the same line. We compare everybody with the similar standards and say someone is at the 1,000 point and another is at the 100 point and somebody is at the first place. This type of comparison based on the grounded reality versus the global view is a real challenge for performing as a leader in academics for anybody. And another important thing, even for teachers today, is every student expect in the classroom, it has become a reality and the need of the hour also. More than listening to lectures, what they are looking for is hands-on experience. Hands-on experience cannot be created, cannot be done everywhere unless the institution has prepared for that. So that unless you prepared for that, there is a conflict between hands-on experience versus experience sharing. As a teacher, teaching for the last 3 decades, if I go on explaining what I have learned, people will say, you are sharing your experience. More particularly these days, it's not appropriate to say I'm more experienced, because technically people say, what is experience? Experience is the mistakes committed in the past. If you are teaching for 30 years means you have committed mistakes for 30 years. So that present day students don't like that. What they say, don't tell me what are all the mistakes that you have committed in life. Tell me, how can I do this? Therefore, this challenge needs to be properly accepted by the teacher, and they must rise to the occasion to reach out to the students. Therefore, the question is global overview versus the ground reality, hands-on experience versus sharing experience. One more thing that we need to remember as a challenge is full-time studies versus blended courses blended with work. We are all used to a sort of full-time school-oriented or Gurukula type of education. Incidentally, there may not be residential programs, but most of our courses are of full-time nature. Students are expected to be with the institutions for the defined period of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, like that. These 5 years or 3 years appears to be a very long period for the present generation and the present situation in the world. Nobody likes to spend so much of time because time is money. Again, time is measured in terms of monetary terms. Therefore, what the present day students and the parents expect is to blend the courses with the work. Along with the course, students must be allowed to work. Gone are the days we were familiar with an expression like earn while you learn. Now the concept is learn while you earn. Learn while you earn. Therefore, students must be encouraged to work and earn and to be on their own to acquire the type of knowledge, the type of skills that they are looking for. That is another challenge with the present day academics is not permitting, as I believe, our students across the globe. There are such universities and institutions elsewhere. But if I speak from the Indian context, only 10% of our first class or the highly ranked universities and institutions may allow this type of learning. Otherwise, everywhere it is a full-time, committed, compulsory attendance-based teaching system, which makes the students to hate the system at one point of time. Therefore, these challenges are to be addressed by a teacher who has assumed the role of a leader. Again, I'm telling, the moment you call teachers as the leaders, normally leaders are those who hate status quo. Leaders are those who hate status quo and always open for change and make the changes that they think. Leaders are those who take everybody onto a journey which they have not gone either to. Teachers are those who create an atmosphere for others to set standards and work accordingly. Even in this context, teachers are open-minded. Teachers are ready to accept. But what is required is the required encouragement both from the policymakers and the society. And unless teachers, true to the spirit of teaching and true to the spirit of leadership, does not accept this responsibility, they deserve all sorts of comments and criticisms. But in my opinion, unless we create an ambience wherein everybody can play well, even teachers, as the leaders, they have to take risk. They have to work without authority. They have to work without facilities, infrastructure. But when they work without infrastructure, at the most what they can deliver is based on the reality. It cannot be compared with somebody who has done with a lot of support and encouragement. Therefore, along with this, teaching is a challenge. Academics is a field wherein the future citizens are nurtured, prepared, manufactured. There we require an effective leadership. That leadership is at stake today. It is true, we are starved of true teachers and true leaders, but that's not the solution. That's not the answer for any problem. We need to create best teachers and best leaders by giving them an opportunity, freedom to think and freedom to overcome the challenges that they are facing. The latest challenge that teaching community across the globe is facing is about the pandemic. You can call it as an era of pandemic versus academic. The pandemic versus academic has created a sort of tension, anxiety, unrest, both in the minds of parents, teachers, and the students. What are the consequences of this pandemic? Precisely, say for instance, schools and colleges have been closed for more than 4 months. As a result of that, there is a discontinuity in learning. Learning must be a continuous process. It is something related to the mind. It's not something connected with attending and disappearing. For the last 4 months, most of the colleges and universities across the globe have been closed. That has created a sort of disturbance, because disturbed learning acts as a catastrophic force to change the society. Society is going to be influenced by this stoppage of learning and closure of schools and colleges in terms of increased crime, increased disturbance, unrest, frustration, unemployment, hatredness in the society, which cannot be seen immediately. Therefore, one need to think in terms of the present situation, keeping in mind the consequences of stoppage of academic activity. To overcome this, we need to think in terms of empowering the youth even at times of crisis. Empowering. True empowerment of youngsters or true empowerment of students can be done only when teachers really act as the role models, can act as the guides and philosophers of the students. That can happen only when we are able to evolve a curriculum, a content that is not only technical in nature, but also based on the life skills. The life skills, the most important life skills that we need to teach our students in the wake of this COVID-19 is, the first one is to develop a sort of sustainability and tolerance. Tolerance is the most important thing that we need to inculcate in our students, and empowerment at first calls for patience. That is what missing in the present generation, and the reason is the speed of life. In a high-speeded life, people will never think in terms of tolerating, sustaining. That could be the reason for many youngsters having committed suicides across the globe. Therefore, the first and the most important thing that we need to blend with our academic teaching to justify our role as leaders is to make the students to realize their full potential and make them confident to face the challenges of life, so that tolerance and ability to handle frustration. Ability to handle frustration is the most important thing. Either two, there were 100 reasons for us to celebrate. It is easy to celebrate our victory, but difficult to accept the defeat. Therefore, we need to tune the minds of our youngsters to look at the defeat and success equally. That sort of case studies, that sort of materials, that sort of incidents need to be taught, even online, wherever it is possible, to our students to make them an all-rounded personalities. And another thing is to make them to realize the realities of life, so that we need to make a student resilient to survive. Resilient to survive means once you fail, don't worry. Most of the students have attended our examinations a couple of days back, despite of their ill health caused by this lockdown and other things. They are afraid, they are worried of failing in the examination. But we must inculcate a sort of thinking and attitude in the minds of our students that failure in an examination is not everything in life. And failure is the first stepping stone for success. And when you fail, there is opportunity to do the next attempt better than what it was. So that teaching resilience is one more need of the hour for teachers. And one more thing that we need to inculcate is a passion for leadership. Develop a passion for leadership both among the students and the teachers. Leadership never comes without risk. Leadership cannot be thought of without challenges. Leadership never comes without criticisms, comments, insults, etc. Therefore, we must make our students real leaders. Real leaders will rise to the occasion. Real leaders come from the ground. It is the Phoenix principle from where leaders emerge, so that we need to make our students street smart rather than book smart. By making them book smart, we can make them to get the ranks in the examination. But what is needed today is to make them street smart. When I say this street smart, the word smart that comes to my mind is to make them simple, moral, active, responsive, and transparent in their behavior. Education is a purposeful molding of the behaviors of the incumbents or the students. Therefore, academicians' responsibility is to create an ambience wherein the students develop a high esteem of their own personalities. Make them to love themselves. Unless they love themselves, they cannot love the subjects they are studying, the country where they are living. Therefore, the biggest challenge that the teachers are facing today, beyond their academic regular work of teaching the subject they are concerned, is to develop a rapport with the students and make them to follow them and take them as the role models. That challenge is the biggest one, in my opinion. I have given my perception of the subject as I understood, and if there are any queries on this, I'm open for discussion. Thank you all.
It's always a privilege.
Thank you, sir.
To hear from academic leader, Dr. Anand sir. I think, majority of the participants, we feel like we revisited our MBA class of yours, sir, on the other platform. And I am very happy and I'm very thankful to you for delivering such a wonderful the lecture about a wonderful topic, academic leadership. And I request the participants now, it's the platform is open for the queries and to listen to Anand sir for whatever the questions that are posting. And please unmute yourself and please do come on the screen and you can ask the questions to the speaker. Thank you. Any audience?
You can raise your hand.
Yes, please raise your hand.
I guess Miss Ashwini.
Yes.
She has unmuted herself.
Please do unmute yourself and ask the question to the speaker. And now, before we take the questions from the audience, sir, I just have one question. What's your opinion about this online teaching and how effective it is going to be?
Yes. Online teaching is not a new thing. It was there even 10 years before. Now, online teaching can be blended with the physical interactive teaching. Then only it will become effective. And I am not for saying that online teaching alone can deliver what is expected. Online teaching must be supported, or interactive teaching must be supported by online teaching. Only a fine blend of these two will solve the problem.
Okay.
I think you got it.
Yeah, so there's one more question from my side, personally, as a teacher. And I see there's a great deviation among the students from the objective of education. It has the huge gap has been built now. So how to overcome this? Like how to bring the students back to the classroom?
That's what I was telling. First, you should understand why the students are not coming towards the classes, because their priorities are different. Unless you understand their priorities and match with that, you cannot make them happy. So that to make them happy, you need to know your students. The biggest reason for all this problem is we don't know our students. Unless you know your student, unless you know your audience or the customers, you cannot reach to them. Why the students are not coming to the classes? Why they are missing from the classes? The reasons, I can quote an incident. It happened to me some time ago. One of my students who was really intelligent was a chronic absentee. He was not attending the classes. At the end of the semester, his name was in the list of shortage of attendance students, and he was not allowed to take the examination. But he came with a request, put a lot of pressure on me to give him attendance to write the examination, and he wrote the examination subsequently, and he passed with 72% of marks in the examination. He came and told me, sir, I got 72% attendance. I said, you are intelligent. Attend the classes regularly. You can improve further. Next time what happened, in the second semester, after the announcement of results, I found him somewhere on the corridor and inquired, what happened to your results? He said, sir, I got my result. I got 62%. And I inquired, why? Last time it was 72. This time it is 62. How come it is? He said, sir, this time I started attending classes,
Okay.
Unless the student gets some value addition, unless he thinks that something new is available inside the class, he will not come to the class. One reason. Another reason is the socio-economic and political reasons. People who are confident of getting attendance politically, people who socially think they are superior, economically think they are powerful, may neglect the classes also. Therefore, you must cater to their priorities, cater to their requirements. Then only you can solve this problem. Otherwise, by compulsion, you cannot. You cannot.
One of your classes where you said the storytelling type is the best method of teaching.
Anything. Whatever the method that is relevant, that you have to adopt.
That again reminds me of one more quote of yours, like the best way of management is the result oriented kind of a management.
Yes.
Thank you very
But
much.
you should know what is the result.
Yeah. Thank you very much for enlightening on this particular issue. Sir, anybody in the audience?
We have Darshan raising his hand.
Yeah, please
So
do unmute
I am
yourself and ask.
unmuting yourself. Yes, Darshan, please go ahead.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
So after this pandemic, there will be some kind of changes in the education system.
Yes. Can you repeat the question?
So after this corona effect, do you think some kind of change in the education system, the government?
Yes. Definitely it's going to happen. The government is already thinking in terms of revising the timings, that is one step. Likewise, even the contents, say for instance, our CBSE has reduced 30% of the syllabus. 30% of the syllabus from the CBSE's 9th to 12th standard syllabus. Same thing is going to happen even in the universities. Examination pattern, assessment, teaching delivery, and the duration, content of the syllabi are also going to take some change after this pandemic.
What about course structure, sir? Course structure.
Course structure need to be designed based on the realities. As of now, none of us are in a clear mind to say this is going to be the duration. Depending on the situation, we need to design the structures.
Yeah, and I will request audience, if you want to ask a question to sir, kindly raise the hand. There will be an option, raise hand, so that we can unmute. And we'll move to the next person, Ms. Ashwini Spurti. She wants to ask, and she's asking, can I ask in Kannada, sir?
Yeah, you
By
can.
all means, allowed to listen.
Ashwini Spurti, can I have Ashwini Spurti or Daimadi screen ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು?
ಸರ್, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು. ನೀವು ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ನಾನು MBA ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗ MBA ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ನಂಗೆ ಪಾಠಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ನಡಿಬಹುದು, ಏನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಸೆಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ದು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತಾ ಏನು ಅಂತ.
ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಖಂಡಿತ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಒನ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ದಿ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್, ಅಪ್ರೋಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್, ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಸೂಕ್ತ ಆದೇಶಗಳು ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ದೊರೆತ ನಂತರ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯದ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲರಲ್ಲೂ ಈ ಗೊಂದಲ ಇದೆ, ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೂಡ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯ ಅವಲೋಕನ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಸಲಹೆ ಸೂಚನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡೋರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಸೂಚನೆ ಮೇರೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವಾಗ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ UGC ಫೈನಲ್ ಇಯರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿದ್ಧತೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದೊಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್.
ಸರ್ ಆತರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಮಗುವಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಮಗುವಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು? ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಕೂಡ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಬೇಕಾ ಬೇಡ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥನೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು ಹೌದು. ಈಗ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಸತ್ಯ. ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಇರೋದಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಕಲಿಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ತಾತ್ಕಾಲಿಕವಾಗಿ ಈ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ತರಗತಿಗಳನ್ನ ನಡೆಸಬಹುದು. ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ತರಗತಿಗಳೇ ಕಲಿಕೆಗೆ ಪರ್ಯಾಯವಲ್ಲ, ತರಗತಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಪರ್ಯಾಯವಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಏನೂ ಮಾಡದೆ, ಈಗ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೂ ಮಾಡದೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬ್ಲೈಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮರ್ತೇ ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈಟ್ ಅಂತೀವಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ. ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ, ಈಗ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ 30 ನಿಮಿಷಗಳ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಣ್ಣ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ತರಗತಿಗಳನ್ನು ತಗೋಬೇಕು, 30 ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಒಂದು ದಿನಕ್ಕೆ 4 ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗಳಿಗಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಭಾಗ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಹೊಸದು ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದೇ ಹೊಸ ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಪರಿಚಯಿಸಿದಾಗ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರತಿಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು. ಇದು ಮಾಮೂಲಿ. ಈಗ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ 25 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ನೌಕರರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಡ, ಗಣಕಯಂತ್ರಗಳು ದುಡಿಯುವ ಕೈಗಳನ್ನ ಕತ್ತರಿಸುತ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಎಂತ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಹೇಳಿ? ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಅನಕ್ಷರಸ್ಥರು ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಇದೀವಿ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದೊಂದು ದಿನ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಯ ಆಗ್ಬಹುದೇನೋ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರ್ ಲೈಫ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹೆಡಿಂಗ್ ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಮೋಷನ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗದೆ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ. ಎಮೋಷನ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದದ್ದು ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾನವೀಯ ಸಂಬಂಧಗಳು, ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಟಚ್ ಅಂತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಟಚ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇರಬೇಕು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡೋರಲ್ಲಿ, ಕಲಿಯುವವರಲ್ಲಿ ಗೌರವ ಮತ್ತು ವಿನಯ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಈ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಅವೆರಡನ್ನೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಏನೂ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ದೆನ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬಳಸಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ನ ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಲಂಬನೆ ಆಗಬಾರದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಹಾರ, ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅನ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ನಿಜ, ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ತೊಂದರೆ, ಗ್ಯಾಡ್ಜೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವು ಗಮನಿಸಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಇಂದ ಎಂತೆಂತ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಗಳಾಗ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅಮೆರಿಕಾದ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ 12 ಲಕ್ಷ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನೀವು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಭಾರತೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾವು ವಾಪಸ್ ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದು ಒಂದು ಕಷ್ಟ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವಿರೋ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲಿಕೆಗೆ ಭಂಗವಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ತಾತ್ಕಾಲಿಕ ಉಪಶಮನ, ತಾತ್ಕಾಲಿಕ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗಲಾರದು. ಆದರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇಡ ಅನ್ನದೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೇದಿದೆಯೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು.
ಅಶ್ವಿನಿ ಅವರೇ, ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗೆ. Now I have Madam Christine on. She has raised the hand.
Yeah, Christine and Gautami are there. I will start with
go
Christine.
with Christine.
And
then we take question from there.
and if anybody else wants to ask question, kindly don't unmute themselves. Raise the hand. There will be an option in the Zoom app to raise the hand. You have to click there. So right now, Christine, you can go ahead with your question. Christine.
May I request Christine to come online and ask the question to the speaker?
Okay. We are not able to get you, Christine. You can raise again the hand when you come back. So we'll move to Gautami. So Gautami, you are the next.
Gautami, please go ahead with the question.
Gautami, you are. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Gautami.
Sir, I'm BA final year student, sir.
Good.
The new news is coming that about in September ending we'll be having the exams. It can be online or offline. Is it true, sir?
Sorry.
It is the news. Probably it is going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's wait for the university, the circular about the exams. I request the participants to kindly pay attention towards the topic that we are focusing today. Can I have Shilpa online to ask the question now?
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, good afternoon, Shilpa.
Thank you very much for giving the problem part of the academics. What I'm just looking out for is some inputs from your end to enhance the teaching skills. So what we can do to enhance our teaching skills is what I'm looking out.
Once again, enhancing teaching skills, is nothing but teachers accepting their position as a very responsible position in the society, understand the realities, mold a personality that fits into the profession that you have chosen. And there is no shortcut for teaching. I made a mention somewhere, learn before you teach. Unless rigorously you learn and you are trained, you cannot train others. Therefore, the only solution that I can suggest is love your profession. And particularly there is a saying, success and happiness, it is not happiness that comes out of success. Just yesterday I saw it somewhere. It is the success comes out of happiness. If you are happy with your teaching, if you are enjoying in the classroom, love to enjoy, love to be a teacher. And those who love anything will not disturb, will not destroy that. So that a true teacher who loves his profession must prepare and do justice of what he is doing. That's the only solution.
Thank you.
So that prepare.
Madam Swati.
Love your students. I made a mention, students versus customers.
Yes.
Even in the business language, customer is not the king alone. He is the God. He is the God. Students in front of you are the God. Try to convince that God. That justifies your action. I think
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You got
Very,
me.
Thank you, sir.
Madam
And,
Swati.
thank you.
Yeah, we will move with
Swati.
Swati.
Madam
Swati,
Swati, can I have
Swati,
you
yes.
online? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. It
Good
was the one.
afternoon, Swati. Good afternoon, Swati.
Sir, session was extremely good. I have one doubts or clarification with regard to you, sir. We were explaining about the expectation of the students.
Yes.
When I taught in Chamrajnagar, the student education was different from my side. I could realize when I started teaching in Yuvaraja College, the expectation of the students were having different type of expectations. So it took time for me to understand, sir, can you give me some information or things or any clues where we are able to understand the students in a very easy manner, sir. It took time for me to understand. When I was teaching in Chamraja, it was entirely different. Here in Yuvaraja College, the socio-economic background and the expectation really make a difference, sir. There is a parity.
Yes, there are two different set of societies, urban and the semi-urban.
Yes, sir.
Because of the socio-economic background of the students, naturally their preparedness towards academics happens to be different. Your question is, you have already noticed the difference.
Yes, sir.
Notice the difference.
Yes, sir.
A true teacher, through the interaction inside the class and interaction after the class, can gauge the potential and the competence of his students. And he must try to reach out to the students based on their need. Say, for instance, people in Chamarajanagar may be inclined to learn a lot, but having some difficulties. I can guess, as a management teacher, you might have noticed, the biggest problem the rural students face is about language, right? Language was a barrier. But in my opinion, knowledge and language are unrelated. Ability to learn and language are unrelated. What is required is a commitment to learn. You can go deep into the people and their inclination to learn. Try to reach out to them in their own language, at least informally. Make them to learn. Make them to learn. By helping the Chamarajanagar student to acquire access to language that they are finding it difficult, you can help them. And here in the cities, by understanding the expectations of the city students, their expectations may be in terms of getting jobs, in terms of getting the latest information, attending, participating in seminars and conferences. Try to reach out to them so that world is not the same everywhere. Though man is the same, men are different. So that unless you understand the differences of every individual, you cannot reach out to them. Even for teachers, this is the biggest problem. In a single class, there may be 10 different types of students. Same formula, same approach may not be sufficient to reach out to every them. You have to devise the tool based on the requirement. Did I confuse you?
Thank you, sir. And
No, sir.
we have Professor.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Professor Purulidhar, sir, the principal of Talkad College. Please do come online and ask your question.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning.
ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ?
Sir, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ sir. ನೀವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ sir. ತಮ್ಮಂತರ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very happy, sir. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅಂಡ್ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಏನ್ ಸರ್? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಬರೋ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್.
ಈಗ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಲಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದ ಕೆಟ್ಟದ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ದೃಷ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಿದ್ವು ಫಾರ್ ಇನ್ ಡೆಪ್ತ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ. ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಮೋರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ದನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್.
We are also annual system students na sir.
ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಖುಷಿ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಸಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ಖಂಡಿತ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ ಆಫ್ 97 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡೋ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಪ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಲರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂಡ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ COVID-19 ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಳೆಯ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತಮ
ಅಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಓವರ್ ವ್ಯೂ ವರ್ಸಸ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡೆಡ್ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಅಂತ. ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಓವರ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು ರೌಂಡ್ ಹಾಕ್ಸ್ಬಿಡೋದು 2 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ. 2 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು ರೌಂಡ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದಿಷ್ಟೇ ಜಗತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಗ್ಲೋಬ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ, ಗ್ರೌಂಡೆಡ್ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ we need to go in depth. And examinations are not the ultimate objective of any course. ನಾವೇನಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಫಲಿತಾಂಶದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಕಲಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಮರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಲಿಕೆಯೇ ಆಗದೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿದ್ಧರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ದೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಇನ್ ಡೆಪ್ತ್ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಸಿಕ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವೇ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದದ್ದು ತರಗತಿಗಳು. ಹೆಚ್ಚು ತರಗತಿಗಳು, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪರಾಮರ್ಶೆಗಳು, ವಿಮರ್ಶೆಗಳು ಆದರೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಿಲ್ಲದಿದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವೋ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದ್ದವರಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತಮರು ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
Thank you, Muralidhar sir, for your.
Thank you very much. You have the opportunity.
Sandeep Pravnikar on the screen to ask the question now. And
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, I'm Sandeep Pravnikar from the Maharajas College, research scholar.
Tell me, Sandeep. I know.
Yeah, your session was very good, sir. And I have a question regarding one education policy across India, sir. I just wanted to know your opinion on that. Is it gonna be an answer for bringing homogeneity in education?
It is homogeneity in educational policy, not homogeneity in curriculum. One education policy means education in the same spirit for everybody. Haves, have-nots, villages, urban, for everybody one type of education. Because today it is not the case. There are different levels of education.
Yes, sir.
You raised a very good question that made me to recall my experience with 15 years back in one of the, can you listen?
Yes, sir, I'm listening, sir.
you're audible.
I was addressing 10th standard students in the demonstration school of Mysore some 15 years back.
Okay.
10th class 10 students.
Okay, sir.
One of the students asked me a question. Sir, you are teaching MBA in university. One of my relatives doing MBA in IIM Ahmedabad. What is the difference? He asked. My answer was that students who do MBA from IIM Ahmedabad or Bangalore are the most preferred MBA graduates in the list of graduates coming from IIMs, reputed private institutions, and the universities. They are the most preferred. After IIMs, then other graduates will be preferred. That's what I said on that day. The 10th class students raised a question. Sir, don't you think from the beginning you are aiming to produce a second-rate citizen?
Yes.
15 years back.
Yes.
Still today, our education system
continuing.
is continuing. It is like that only. A person studying in a school where there is no blackboard, and there are schools with smart boards.
So that is what my question, sir. Here we have a state syllabus, CBSE, ICSE. Again, all universities are following their own syllabus type of things. So don't you think it is going to make a difference between the people who are actually studying in Chamarajanagar or Malvalli or Mysore or Bangalore?
Yes.
So what is the significance of the one education policy?
It is to make the rules and regulations similar, medium of instruction and other things based on the regional requirements.
Yes.
The content is going to be the same for all. At the university level, policies are the same, contents are left to the discretion of the respective universities based on their regional realities. So that one education policy does not be taken with the same spirit at all the levels. Our primary education policy must be different. Our higher education policies must be different. And it should be devised in such a way that every graduate in all respect or every student in all respect is the same.
Thank you, sir.
Did I answer
Thank you,
the
sir.
question?
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Over to Shri Ganesh, who has raised his hand to ask the question now. Shri Ganesh, please.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Ganesh.
Sir, myself Sri Ganesh. Right now, I'm pursuing the MBA, sir. I have one question, sir. Actually,
Please.
There are many institutes who are forcing students to pay fees, sir. Even though at this time, like at the pandemic time also, but we don't know how to deal with this kind of a thing. Like it's really hard right now to pay fees.
Government has already taken initiatives in this regard. Government
Yes,
has instructed the institutions not to do so.
Yes.
You can approach the appropriate authorities if still there are pressures from any corner.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Christine on line. She has raised her hand. Please do go ahead, Christine, with your question. Can I have Christine?
Christine?
Christine? Yeah, thank you. And now over to Darshan. Darshan has raised his hand. Darshan, sir, please go ahead with the question.
Thank you, Krantiraj, sir. Sir, my question is, the world is looking into India.
Yes.
Because of this pandemic, the world is looking into India. India might emerge into the big country in the world. So what is the message for the student in India?
The message is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You have everything to emerge as the global leader. Rise to the occasion. That's
So
what
what
I
is
can
the
say.
contribution of the student, sir? What should the student contribute for the country or the economy?
The question is self-explanatory. We will be knowing something called demographic dividend. Demographic dividend is based on the students' community only. As we have the largest size of youth population, that youth can be an asset to any country, including India. The fate of India can be altered, can be written by the students only. They are the future citizens. Therefore, unless the students are molded and directed properly, no country can progress. It is not only India alone. Therefore, students are to be properly guided and their full potential must be used for the benefit of the country. That is possible only when academics is on right track.
Yeah,
I think you got it.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
And, can I have Nida Fatima? Nida Fatima, who raised her hand. Please go ahead with your question.
Nida Fatima, you raised the hand. And other participants who want to ask question, I request you kindly, on your screen, you will see an option as raise hand. You just have to click there and, keep it. We will lower the hand once we, take your question.
Or is like Christine? Christine, online. Please go ahead with the question. Christine?
Yeah, Christine, you can talk. You are unmute.
Yeah, I hope.
Christine, I guess there is a problem with your mic, I guess. We are not getting your voice. If you are finding any problem, you can post it in the chat.
You
can type it in the chat.
In the chat so that we can post the same to the speaker.
Yeah, Christine, I can see you are on unmute, but we cannot hear you. Kindly type your question in chat. And other participants, kindly, if you have any questions, press the button of raise hand.
We have another 5 minutes.
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Bilal has got a question.
Sure.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Christine, come online. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my question was on, the first one was on the grounded reality versus global overview in regards to the UGC guidelines, that is on policy making. Yeah.
Yes.
So don't you think that most of, like on our part as a final year students, don't you think that they have based their decision on comparison, like with other universities across the globe? And then another one is on where you said, like ways of overcoming the challenges. One was on tolerance and ability to handle frustration. So a lot has happened in this pandemic, and we have seen friends losing life, which is like suicidal. I think it has been greatly this time around. I don't know why, but to my understanding, how can a student or any other person be taught how to handle his frustration during this time? Because like when you say you make them to realize the reality of life, because that is one of the things. If you realize what life is, then there is no way one can take his or her own life. So how can a teacher, because most of the time we as the students spend most time with the teachers, not with our parents. So how can the teachers really make the students realize the aspect of life? Because we know when we go to classes, there is only academic issues and all that. So is there any other session which can be put to ascertain these problems? Because it has really gone on a rise and it's not really appeasing. So I think for now, that is what I can ask. Thank you, sir.
Yes. More than asking a question, you have given an opinion that is acceptable to everybody. The question is concerned with how to prepare students to handle frustration, that too in the wake of the situation that we are facing. I was telling, celebrating victory is easy, but tolerating defeat and sustaining life in anticipation of a future victory is all about life. As teachers, you rightly mentioned, spend a lot of time with the students than their parents. Teachers need to be role models for students who can emulate behavior from that of the teachers. There is something called social learning. Social learning happens when you accept somebody symbolically as your role model, symbolically as someone who can inspire you, symbolically as the force behind all your thinking. It is difficult for an average teacher to emerge like that. But despite of that, every teacher must try to understand the student. Understanding need not be in terms of having personal details about a student or something like that. It is to know about a student's capacity, potential, and the ability to rise to the occasion. Based on this, a teacher must set an example of himself before the students at times of crisis. Say, for instance, many simple things is accepting the failure. The world is such that always appreciate the winners. We only keep on appreciating the winners. What about the losers? We speak only about 1 or 2 persons who got a rank. What about the 97% of the students? 30% of the students who have failed? We forget them. That attitude has made the people always to go with the pleasure and to forget the pain. So that accepting pleasure or pain must be done equally. Under that situation, a teacher must act as an example for the students. So that frustration handling need not be always in the wake of a situation of this kind or otherwise. In life, there are 100 reasons to get disappointment. but there are only few reasons to get happiness. So that we must make the students to realize that everything in life will take a change. Things will become positive. And positive thinking is the solution for most of the problem. But unfortunately today, because of COVID-19, if you say positive, people will run away. But the reality is that be positive, think positive, spread the positive energy. That can make everybody to be normal in life and be practical. Practical, productive, and peaceful. That makes anybody comfortable with any sort of crisis. Be calm, be practical, understand the reality, rise to the occasion. So that the teachers in the classroom need to be more than and go beyond just delivering lectures on the topic given. I remember one of the teachers who used to say that a teacher is not a delivery boy. Teacher is not a delivery boy who transforms the content to the student's mind. He is an instigator. He is an ignition. And he is the one who can make the student to love himself. Not loving the teacher, love himself. So that the act of liking yourself, having self-pride, feeling dignified, feeling high about your own life, that makes you to overcome any sort of problems. Even when I failed, I never worried about it because I have the potential to pass, but someone has failed me as he was the examiner. That's it, forget it.
Thank you, sir. And can I have Pooja Ravikant online? She has got a question regarding if she is not online, on behalf of her, sir, our question is, what do you think is the best teaching style based on your experience?
Best teaching is yet to emerge.
Okay.
I am yet to learn it.
Okay.
Best one is one that works.
Yes, sir. And one more participant by the name of Sachin Biraj. He asked you to kindly educate him regarding emotional intelligence.
That requires a different session, but I can mention emotional intelligence is made up of 5 major components like self-awareness, self-image, self-monitoring, social awareness, and social skills. Self-awareness, know yourself. The first and the most important strength of anybody is his own perception. If you think you are big, you will become big. Think big. Self-image. Self-image means the picture that you draw in your mind about yourself without using a mirror. What picture you have about yourself? What you think of yourself? Think positively. Think, I can do, I can do, I can do. And self-monitoring means controlling yourself. One who controls himself can control the world. Most of the wars and other things happened because of inability to handle ourselves. If we can handle ourselves properly, we can handle the world. And the 4th one is social awareness. Social awareness means know your surrounding. If you know the surroundings, you have to rise accordingly. When you know the realities, it is easy to be there. So that self-awareness makes you know the happenings in and around. Don't close your eyes and say, I know everything. Open your eyes and ears. Listen to everything. World is so beautiful. There are good and bad. Don't confine to only bad things or good things. There are both. Know the world. And when you know the world, the last most important skill under emotional intelligence is social skills. Social skills are nothing but the means that we use to build up relationships. Relationships are the most important thing. You will be knowing, people say EQ, SQ, RQ, IQ, emotional quotient, spiritual quotient, relationship quotient, etc. Developing and maintaining relationship is the toughest task. For that purpose, education is one such means. Language is one such means. Body language, expressions, attitudes, value systems. Unless you reflect what the society expects from you, you will not be accepted. Therefore, social skills are concerned with understanding the society and matching the social requirements. These are in toto emotional intelligence. There is an excellent book written by Daniel Goleman about on the same title. I suggest that gentleman to go through that for further clarifications.
So
He can interact with me also.
Repeat the name of the author, sir. Daniel
Goleman.
Daniel Goleman.
Goleman.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Sir, now I have a question here.
Share your opinion.
Yes, before sharing the opinion, I have a question, sir. I am a branding consultant and currently handling 6 companies. So I take interns, a lot of interns. And once here you mentioned that designing the content based on the expectations of the students is important. But let me talk from company point of view. Don't you think designing the content based on the demand of the company, the job, and the future is also important?
Answer is the same. When I say designing based on the expectations of the student, it is nothing but on the basis of what the company expects. For teachers, you know, defining the customer is a difficult task.
Okay.
Who is my customer? Is it the society? Is it the parent? Is it the employer? All these are represented through my students. If my student is employable, that is the marketability of my product. Therefore, targeting a student does not make any difference from targeting the employer.
Okay.
Hope you got it.
Okay, I'll pass that opinion to Satya.
Sir, when you say academic leadership, how to install this into the minds of the students exactly? Because before, at least classroom learning was there, and we could help students to understand on the topics very well. But due to this barrier of the online learning, do you think it is not going to be a challenge to create a leaders online?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Yes, sir.
But with the available infrastructure, what best we can do,
yes,
that has to be done.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It is great to have you on this platform, and today's the topics you have covered will be very beneficial to all the trainers and all the faculties out there, because you have been clearly mentioned what are the expectation the students are having, the society is having, the parents are having, and what is the need of the hour. So I thank you so much for this. And sir,
I thank Anand sir, for sparing us a very precious time and busy schedule, and it's really, we are happy and it's our privilege to have you on our show, sir. Our show is very much blessed by your presence, and I look forward for much more sessions with you. I thank you very much on behalf of the participants and also the team Changemakers, and I thank all the participants for being a part of this episode 4 of our talk show. And with the society, and our main aim is to transform this society into a knowledgeable society. And let's keep the spark of revolution alive. Hope we all work towards the change. And Anand sir has led us being the academic leaders. And I thank one and all. We are going to wind up the show. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all the participants.
And please do share the feedback on our social media platform or on the group, WhatsApp group. And also please do like our page if you like our show.
Kindly go on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube channel, because very soon we'll be coming up with the recordings of these shows that you'll be getting. So it is changemakers.talkshow. So open your Instagram, open your Facebook, start following us, because a lot of these kinds of shows are coming in. And Satya, please tell them.
Yes, yeah. The Changemakers talk show is it's on a weekly basis. We conduct webinars from a resource persons like Anand sir. So anybody has interested to participate in these shows, you can also send a message on WhatsApp every now and then. Or anyways, since you're in the WhatsApp group, we will be informing you about the upcoming sessions also. So, all right, then we will meet you all at the upcoming session, and we'll update you what is the upcoming session.
Yes.
Please
And,
do follow our social media accounts to know what is the upcoming session and what topic on it is.
And please do drop in a text on the WhatsApp group if you like the show.
Also, you can make a video out of how did you feel about the show and share it to us, and we'll be sharing that on our social media platform.
Looking forward for some more sessions like this with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Satya sir. Thank you, Kramjat sir. Thank you, Bilal.
Thank you, Darshan, and thank you to all the participants.